let's begin. First of all, I want to welcome every one of you to the Genealogy and Family History Symposium. This is our third year doing this. Could you imagine? Last year we had it on Zoom, so it was fun. And the first year we had it in person as well. So we're continuing doing this kind of stuff. So if you're interested or if you know any really good speaker or you would like to recommend, come and talk to me. And then afterward, I'll send you an email. And yeah, so we are constantly looking for a speaker as well as to highlight our library electronic resources. Okay, and so good morning, welcome everyone. So we're thrilled to gather here today and for a journey through time and heritage. Whether you're a seasoned researcher, genealogist, or just a student, or just dipping your toes into the fascinating world of family history. Today's our presenters will equip you with the knowledge, resource, and inspirations to delve into your roots. So let's get started, okay? Our first guest speaker to kick things off is Daniel Matsumoto. He's one of our own eResources librarian at the San Francisco Public Library. With a career steeped into the world of library, Daniel brings a deep understanding of digital archive and genealogical too. Today he'll talk about Ancestry, Heritage Quest, My China Roots, and HeritageHub. So get ready and unlock the treasures and discover how accessible these resources are to look into your past. And with that, let's welcome Daniel Matsumoto.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Richard, for the introduction. And thank you all for coming on this very drizzly San Francisco morning, right? It's a very classic San Francisco moment. My name is Daniel Matsumoto, and I am the eResources librarian here at the library. I've been with the library for about 16 years, and another 10 years down on San Mateo County. So I've been in the library. Oh, thank you. Library person for many, many years. Before I started working in the library, I was also in publishing, so I worked in medical trade publishing, and it's a very stressful profession with all the deadlines, and a lot of people had a lot of things at stake, so gracefully bowed out of that and moved back into the libraries. And I've loved working in the libraries ever since because we get to connect with our lovely patrons, all of you, and we get to share the informations, the collections that we can select and bring to you. So welcome again. So this morning, let's make sure this is working okay. All right, so here's the overview for this presentation. It's going to be more a way to get your feet wet, so we're not going to delve too deep into each of the resources in this session. It's more informational, just to let you know about the resources that we offer here at the library. There'll be some things you're familiar with, some things that are new to you, but we'll go over the bulk of it in this 1 hour that we have together. So first, I want to tell you about your free library card. Let's do a quick poll. Who has a library card right now? Oh, wonderful. So the vast majority of you. If you don't have your card, you can just go up one level to the Borrower Services desk, and you can register or you can renew a card that's expired. So the cards do expire every 4 years, so that's so that we can keep track of the address changes, because we know that people move around, and so we just want to keep the information accurate on our side. Next, I'll be telling you a little bit about the genealogy databases. So we do have a lot of them, probably the most in Northern California. We're very proud of that. We do trials for a lot of different products, and then the ones that are the most of interest, the the databases we feel that will be most beneficial and useful to our patrons are selected, and we acquire them from the various providers, all right? So it's a very long process, and it involves, working with our own finance and the city attorney just to make sure everything kind of gels and that we're, following all of our contractual obligations. So it could take several months to acquire a product. So we don't take it lightly, right? Then we'll jump into our core genealogy databases, which include Ancestry Library Edition, Heritage Quest, and Fold 3. So I like to call this our genealogy trifecta. There are 3 very useful platforms, and you can get a lot of use out of them, find a lot of information, uncover a lot of mysteries by doing simple searches in these 3 platforms. We'll talk about a new platform that we added called MyHeritage. So I think a few years ago, someone approached me and asked for this platform. And so we started looking into it. We did a trial, and we ultimately acquired it. So we're happy to offer MyHeritage. African American Heritage is another platform that we added recently, so I'll tell you a little bit about that. My China Roots, also one that we've added in the last 2-3 years. And as I'm talking about each of these platforms, I'm going to share a short video. So each of the platforms have created their own, marketing videos to let you know about the key features. So I think that'll be helpful in kind of, mixing things up so you don't have to just hear my voice the whole time. HeritageHub, you may know this one. This is the database focused on death notices, obituaries, so obviously that's very useful in tracking down ancestors. And then one new thing that I've added for this session is a list of genealogy resources and research support. The last time I was here, there was a lot of questions about well, this is really nice. There's a lot of databases, and they're very powerful. But how can I find others who are interested in doing this research? So there's a lot of places, a lot of physical locations you can go to kind of share your information with that group, depending on your specific interests. We know that genealogy is very broad. It's very personal. It's very unique to all of you, right? So that's why it's of great interest to us as well, because we want to be able to provide as much information to you that's available as possible. All right, and then finally, some final tips based on things that I've learned myself in doing my own family research, as well as information that our library patrons have shared as well. So, these are just general tips, but it's good to be reminded while you're doing the research. All right, so let's move forward. That's your overview of this hour. So first and foremost, I want to tell you about that free library card. And, since most of you have your card already, that's wonderful, but let your friends and neighbors know that any California resident is eligible to register for a library card. So we do have people from all over the state who register for a card. They actually make the trip up here because they do have to verify their identity in person. So once they do that, they go back home and they access all of our resources. So we're really happy to be able to offer our resources to the entire state. You can register at any location. So even though we have 28 different locations, it doesn't matter which one you go to. You can get the same information at any branch you go to. So please visit a branch that's convenient to you. You can start the process online and then receive that card at any of our locations. Bring an official photo ID and proof of California residency. Again, we just want to make sure you are who you say you are. Occasionally, that's a question. So especially in the digital age, right? So we want to make sure that we see you in person. And then the one thing that a lot of our library patrons don't know is that you have access to museum passes, and we know that there is a historical relevance, right, to going to museums, visiting the history, and your own possible family history. So, Asian Art Museum right next door, you can get a pass for that. But it's very broad. If you're not just interested in museums, you can also go to the Academy of Sciences, the Exploratorium. Who's used Discover and Go in this room? A couple people. Okay, so what you do is we do have a link to the Discover and Go platform, and you would go to that site. You'll log in with your card number and PIN, and then you'll see what's available. So you'll see like a calendar, you pick a date, and you'll see all the attractions that are available for that particular date. So our patrons who are very passionate about Discover and Go jump on there every day. Okay, so keep that in mind that, it's a very competitive. A lot of people just jump on there and just, reserve things, like even if they may not necessarily go. But keep in mind, if you do reserve and you print or download the pass, you've committed to it. So that means if your plans do change later, we cannot change it. We can't make any adjustments for you. It's that strict because those local attractions are, in order for them to provide free admission to their attraction, they've come up with this model. So, just know that if you do make a reservation, that you've committed to it. All right, so check out Discover and Go, very popular. All right, let's move on to accessing the actual databases, because last time I was here, there were a lot of questions about how do I actually get to those databases? I know that you have a website, but there's a lot of information there. What do I do? So you can use, I would suggest that you use a computer or a laptop for your long-term research. I know that most of us have phones now and tablets, and that's what we use primarily. But just for your own sanity and to protect your eyes, you might want to use a bigger screen to do that long-term research. It'll just help you locate things easier. It tends to be harder to do that research on a mobile device. You can do, quick fact checks on your phone. That's always great. You can use AI, right? AI is very popular. We've received a lot of questions about AI lately. AI is good for starting your search. So if you don't know how to get started, AI is always a good thing to ask a question. And when you ask that question, AI will give you a general answer. So that's very exciting. We're very excited about AI. However, it's important to verify that information that's being presented to you. So when you see the answer, scroll down a little bit, and usually where that information is being sourced should be directly below what that description is. So, so if it's coming from maybe a government site, a local government site, or versus somebody's own personal blog. That's important to know. The thing about AI is you want to really sharpen your verification skills and not really just take the information for what it is, because you don't know, anybody can create a website and put out information there. So it's really important to verify the sources. All right, when you're logging into our databases, most of them require you to use your card number and PIN, right? I think some of our platforms ask for like an email address, but the vast majority of them will be your card number. So it's the full 14-digit card number, no spaces or dashes. I know on the back of the card there are spaces. That's for readability. So that's just so that you can read the card out if you need to tell that number to one of our staff members. But when you're entering it online, don't include those spaces or a dash. Okay, it's just one long number. A lot of questions about the PIN and the password. So initially, we assign you a PIN. It's usually 4 digits, right? But if you use our online catalog, that gives you the option of creating a password, alphanumeric password as well. So you can switch between a PIN or a password. They're usually considered the same thing. So treat it as one thing, a PIN or a password, not necessarily two different things. And then if you have access problems, try resetting your PIN or password as the next step. Oftentimes that resolves the issue. We get that question probably 10 times a day, so it's a good thing to know. And know that your access will be limited to the United States or the main librarian branches in the case of Ancestry. So if any of you use Ancestry Library Edition, you have to come to our physical location to use it. But I will let you know about the other resources that you can access outside of the public library space. Okay? Oops, one more thing. It's a good practice to also clear your web browser cache if necessary. So this will clear out any kind of lingering expired information that's lingering there that's being sent to our servers. So sometimes that information can expire, depending on how your browser is set up. It's always good to clear that once in a while, and that may clear up some temporary technical issues. All right, so this is our website, sfpl.org. So hopefully most of you are familiar with this, but some of you may start at our catalog, which is called BiblioCommons. We actually have two catalogs. One is called BiblioCommons, and the other is called Classic. And the difference is Classic we've had for many, many years. We're going to have it forever. BiblioCommons is our newer catalog, and so they're two different experiences, so we offer both depending on your preference. That's why they both exist. But sometimes people think that those are our websites. They are websites, and we do use them, but our main website is sfpl.org. That's the landing point for everything. All right, so just get to know that you can bookmark this link for quick access to it. You want to select the second tab there, Research and Learn, and then go to Articles and Databases, all right? And then when you do that, it'll take you to the Articles and Database landing page. I recommend using the topic filter on the left side there, which will narrow things down further. So you want to select history and genealogy for the specific genealogy databases. And then when you do that, it'll filter out all the irrelevant things and just present you with all the genealogy ones, all right? All right, so let's jump into the Ancestry trifecta. So you'll see a word there called ProQuest. So ProQuest is a name of one of our longtime vendors. So these vendors work with public libraries across the country and probably around the world to offer these databases to public libraries. So they often kind of help us in that process. So ProQuest, you'll see that from time to time. That's just the big company that helps us subscribe to these resources like Ancestry. So I'm just going to play this short video, and it's a marketing video, but it'll let you know a little bit about Ancestry. It's going to talk about the three products and also newspaper.com, which we don't subscribe to, so I'll stop the video just short of that, okay?
ProQuest has a unique partnership with Ancestry. And with Ancestry, we are able to deliver some incredible genealogical products to libraries around the world. The most famous of those products is, of course, Ancestry. Ancestry is the world's largest online family history resource, and the Library Edition provides over 20 billion records for use in genealogical research. It offers an unprecedented international collection that covers North America, UK, Ireland, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Mexico, and many other countries. The Library Edition has many of those same features found in Ancestry.com, so there is a minimal learning curve for staff and patrons. Search can be conducted across all categories or limited to a specific type of record, like census, birth, marriage, or death, military, immigration, or travel. Users can also receive guidance and information from fellow users on the message boards. There is a learning center to help guide both new and experienced researchers. Clicking on charts and forms provides access to forms that can be downloaded and used by researchers. New collections are added regularly, and they can be reviewed and searched alongside all the existing records. In addition to offering Ancestry Library Edition, we also offer Heritage Quest Online. Heritage Quest Online is a smaller product than Ancestry. It contains 5 billion records to Ancestry's 20 billion, But Heritage Quest Online is available for remote access, while Ancestry is not. Like Ancestry, Heritage Quest Online allows genealogists to search across census, birth, marriage or death, military, and immigration records, and more. Also like Ancestry, Heritage Quest Online has powerful research tools that allow genealogists and others to drill deep into the collection. Also like Ancestry, Heritage Quest Online offers a learning center where genealogists can begin their research. Heritage Quest Online also includes a map guide to the U.S. federal census from 1790 to 1920. This allows users to see the change in political boundaries over time for each state. In addition to those great products, ProQuest also offers access to Fold 3, a premier collection of historical U.S. and international military records and unique military content. Historians, genealogists, veterans and their families, teachers, military enthusiasts can access more than 540 million records from the American Revolutionary War up to recent conflicts. All the content is the same between the Consumer Edition and the Library Edition. Powerful search allows you to filter by conflict, war, title, collection, place, publication names and types, military branch and rank, and more. One of genealogists' greatest resources.
All right, I'm going to stop right there since we don't subscribe to newspaper.com. But that brings up an interesting point is the question is, why don't you subscribe to newspapers.com? So we try to fill gaps where, if we're not subscribed to that product, we will find an alternative product. So we do subscribe to many different newspaper collections, historical newspaper collections that are really curated for the people who are serving. So we subscribe to a lot of the local newspapers as well as the major national newspapers. So, but newspapers.com is always an option. So we never say no to anything. We always consider things, and if it meets our patrons' needs and our budget needs, then we will subscribe to that resource. All right, so that was the longest video. I apologize, there was no closed captioning on that one. All the other videos that come after it should have the closed captioning. All right, so the video talked about Ancestry Library Edition. So again, the main difference between this and the other Ancestry products is that this one has to be accessed on site. Okay, so you do have to come visit to use this one. This is an Ancestry thing. So unfortunately, you do have to come in, all right? So it talked about the navigation menu at the top of the page. That's a good way to get started. You'll see that I like how Ancestry does this. This is very clean. It's easy to get started by clicking on one of those menu items. You can do a search the message boards, the Learning Center, and the charts that were mentioned. So yeah, the Learning Center is just a good place to really get your feet wet and to know what Ancestry offers. Anyone here use Ancestry.com, the paid subscription, that one? Okay, a couple people. Okay, you can continue to use it, and as well as the Library Edition. And so one tip that one person had last time was to have two browser windows open to copy and paste over information. Like Ancestry.com offers those family trees, right? And so to copy that information over is possible if you're using both editions. The key collections are largely public records, right? So the census, vital records, military records, immigration data, so billions of records, right? So another question that we often get is what is not included in the Library Edition. So on the features and tools side, you're not going to get the Family Trees tab, right? It's very popular. Ancestry knows this. The Collaboration tab. the One World tree, and the DNA, publish, shop, hire an expert, gift memberships, that's not included as well. So the first three are read-only in the library edition. So that means that you can read the comments, you can read what other members have contributed to those forums, but you cannot contribute yourself. And that would be for the paid subscribers, all right? On the collection side, the obituary collection is not included. However, we subscribe to another resource called HeritageHub, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. Member Connect, so this was a collection previously called People Finder. The historical newspaper collection, but that's okay because we subscribe to many other collections. ProQuest's genealogy and local history books in the families and local histories collection is not included, so those are the resource books that are not included. And Friedman's bank records. So those last two, however, are included in Heritage Quest Online, and we do subscribe to that. And so that goes to the point about we do find alternatives if one product does not offer what our patrons would like to have access to. Okay. And here's an example of a sample search. So Ronald Takagi was an academic historian and author, and I remember reading his books when I was an undergrad at SF State. And so I decided to search him just to learn a little bit about his family background. So Ancestry makes this very easy. You just want to plug in some very basic information like name, first and last name, and the area where your person of interest lived. And really it's as basic as that in terms of starting off. And then when that happened, I immediately received the results. A little hard to see there, but you'll see on the right side is where the results are, and the left side are those useful filters. So take advantage of the filters on the left side. They're very helpful. They help you narrow things down. If, for example, you have an ancestor with a common name, those filters come in very handy just to eliminate things that you don't want to see, that you don't need to see because they obviously aren't relevant to your family search. Heritage Quest Online, so this is the alternative package that you can access from outside the library. So it is a smaller subset of Ancestry, but it is still very powerful. It still includes billions of records. So if you think about that, that's mind-blowing, right? Billions of records. But U.S. Federal Census, genealogy, local books that are included in the Ancestry edition are also in the Heritage Quest Online. Revolutionary War records, those Friedman Bank records, U.S. congressional serial sets come in handy occasionally, and then also military records, okay? And then wills and probate records from all 50 states, also that comes in very handy. Immigration records from various countries, U.S. public records, Social Security death index, maps and photos. So you get the point, right? So a lot of useful information here. There are some interactive features as well. You really have to just kind of dive in and spend an afternoon going down that rabbit hole, okay? Fold 3 is specifically military records. So if you had ancestors, family members who are in the military, Fold 3 is very useful. It has digitized military records from many different conflicts, Revolutionary War, Civil War, so forth. Pension files, draft registration cards, unit histories, prisoner of war records. So that's pretty eye-opening that information, all that information would be retained in one database. The search and browse functionality is very good in Fold 3, very powerful. Again, use those filters as much as possible, help you narrow things down. The digital memorials and collaboration are very helpful. So these are things that family members have contributed to the database, and that's what makes a lot of these databases so powerful over time, because members contribute their own stories, and so that helps create the link between different people. And so makes these resources very robust over time. Okay. And then Fold 3 integrates some Ancestry.com resources as well, allowing users to go back and forth between those two products. So Ancestry obviously is a great place to start if you don't know where to start with your genealogy because it's so powerful. Okay. All right, so let's move on to MyHeritage. So this is a newer resource that we added recently, and I will show you a video now. This one's a little shorter, and it does include closed captioning, so I'll turn those on for you.
What is MyHeritage.com? It's a website that helps me understand who I am by exploring the lives of those who came before me. It's discovering the photographs that show the determination of my great-grandfather and my grandma. It's seeing the signature of someone I wouldn't be here without. My heritage is a tree that expands in every direction. It's finding people I'm related to that I've never even heard about and realizing that my son has the same eyes. My heritage is a portal into worlds that no longer exist, and it's knowing that some part of me traveled through them nonetheless. My heritage is a tapestry that I both weave and am woven into. It's a gift from the generations that were, and it's my gift for those yet to come. That is my heritage, and this is MyHeritage.com.
All right, so that was kind of a short and sweet marketing video. So the login for MyHeritage is a little bit different, and when you first look at this may be a little puzzling, but so this one is offered by another library vendor called EBSCO. Okay, you may have heard of that. They will take you to this login screen. You want to just enter your card number and ignore the other login methods that are below it because that caters to a different institution. But we use card number primarily, so you want to use your card number to log in. I don't think it even prompts you for a PIN, so that streamlines things a little bit. You'll be taken to the second screen to select the resource, so just click MyHeritage Library Edition, and then it'll take you right away to the landing page. So you'll find that a lot of these sites are very streamlined, very clean, right? There's not a lot of distraction, and that's intentional. Most of our products, or actually all of our products, they do not have advertisements, okay? So that's one plus using the library products. You'll never see an advertisement besides maybe the product paywall, right? So if the product wants you to subscribe, then you'll see that still, but you won't see any kind of irrelevant ads in any of our databases. The navigations will be at the top there, so it's always a good place to start. MyHeritage, so the key collections here are US and UK census, okay? So if you have ancestors from the UK, this will be a good place for you to start. Ancestry is great for this also as well. Just keep in mind, billions of records, right? MyHeritage focuses on the Nordic records, so these are countries like in Scandinavia, like Finland and Iceland, and so forth, U.S. public records. And one unique collection is the Jewish Chronicle historical newspaper. So you'll only find it in this resource. So if you do have ancestors of Jewish descent, this would be a good resource for you. And here's an example of a sample search. This is Virginia Woolf, famous author. From England. So again, just plugging in some very basic information. You don't have to fill out necessarily the entire form because it's, you know, in my experience, it's been better just to start a little broader, right? And just kind of narrow things down as you see what the results are. So just first name, last name, and maybe country where they lived and the approximate time frame, okay? And then, again, you'll get the results on the right side, and then the filters on the left side to narrow things down further. All right, so let's move on to HeritageHub. Here's another marketing video. And this one should only be about a minute.
Introducing HeritageHub, the premier library resource to help genealogists and family historians explore and learn more about their lineage. Now with expanded obituaries, funeral home notices, and more, you can discover new family connections and gain a deeper understanding of family relationships and history. With name-rich indexed obituaries, easily identify relatives, unlock new information, and potentially unknown family relations, all at a glance. Covering more than 200 years and updated daily from thousands of sources, HeritageHub provides the most comprehensive collection of obituary and funeral home notices available. This unique resource also includes hard-to-find obituary content from the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, coverage from all 50 states, territories, and the District of Columbia. You can refine search results by date, source, and location. Access is available anytime, at the library or at home, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Discover the premier collection of obituaries and funeral home notices and uncover new relationships in your family's history with HeritageHub.
All right, so this is a product that we subscribe to because we didn't have one specifically focusing on the obituaries and death notices. So it's very handy. You're going to log in with your card number and PIN. So here's a familiar landing page that you'll see if you do access our databases. So this one is card number and PIN. No spaces and dashes again. And then you're immediately taken into the landing page here. So again, just plugging in some very basic information, last name, first name, any keywords would be helpful, right? So if your ancestor was maybe a firefighter or maybe did clerical work, that would be important to include in the keyword field, and maybe something will get matched up. HeritageHub has this help link at the bottom of the page, which I found to be very helpful when I first started looking at this database. It takes you to this table of contents, and the first item there is what's the best strategy for searching in HeritageHub. And when I read that list, it actually had a lot of very helpful tips that could apply to other genealogy databases as well. So I'll just read a few of these here. First, try searching just the last name. Narrow search results using filters on the left, so I told you about that, right? So sometimes there are graphical timelines that are available, so you can take advantage of that as well to narrow things. Narrow to the year of their death within the timeline. So that's a sliding scale that you can use to use a range. And then you can enter personal details. So I mentioned like an occupation that you knew for certain was associated with your ancestor. Plug that in as well, and you never know what you might get, because it's really, the database is just hitting all the text in all of these newspapers, notices, and that's the way you really kind of stumble upon things unexpectedly. All right, so your key collections in HeritageHub will be the U.S. obituaries and death notifications, as well as the Social Security Death Index. All right, so when somebody passes, that information is logged in the death index, and that's good to know for timing, right? And here's a sample search. So this is an image of the Reverend Cecil Williams, who passed away a few years ago. Last year, actually. He's a local pastor and a community leader. So I decided to put his information in, and just very basic information about him, name and his year, and the year of his passing. And when I did that, instantly got relevant results. So on the right side are the results again, and the left side is where the filters are. And so the first two results I received were from local newspapers. So the first one was from the Oakland Post, and the second one was from the East Bay Times. And those were very relevant. They had been published just a few days after his passing, learned more about Reverend Williams, and so that was very helpful. So So Heritage Hub, I really like a lot. I've found information about my ancestors as well as, people I'm curious about. People obviously pass every day, and so you're kind of curious about them. And so I don't know if that makes me kind of morbid or curious or maybe a little bit of both, but I do like to research people who have died just to learn a little bit more about them. All right, so this is a new one that we've added. It's called, I'm sorry about this. It says American Heritage, so it's obviously African American Heritage, so I will fix that. But this is a new resource that we just added, and let me play a short video.
What is ProQuest African American Heritage? Here it is in 2 minutes or less from ProQuest. ProQuest African American Heritage is a groundbreaking digital resource exclusively devoted to African American family history research. ProQuest African American Heritage brings together easy-to-search primary sources wholly for African American family history research, including census records, freedmen and slave records, marriage and cohabitation records, military records, and more. The collections are even browsable. Exclusive access to an updated online edition of Black Genesis will help guide your family history research with an overview of research principles and methodology, plus a compilation of specific resources organized by state. Additional reference and how-to books are available under the Publications tab. In exclusive partnership with Afrogenius, recognized as a leading social networking site devoted to African American genealogy, will provide you with direct access to expert advice, moderated forums, chats, mailing lists, surname registry, and other resources to help you successfully research your family history. That's ProQuest African American Heritage in 2 minutes or less.
All right, so this is a new This is a new collection that we've added. And so as the video said, it is focusing on African American family history research. It'll have all those census records, birth, marriage, and death records. And what struck me when I was looking at this was just the detail of like the marriage registry, and just the clarity of the handwriting, just very astonishing to see that was maintained through the years. Also has the Freedmen Bank records, just like Heritage Quest, military records, the Black Genesis, which is a state-by-state resource guide, and as well has the social networking and reference books from partners, Afrogenius and Genealogical Publishing Company. So this is a very powerful research focused on African American family history. All right. Another newer one is My China Roots, so another short video. This one I don't believe has any narration, so you can just enjoy some of the graphics here. It is very short. So, oops. Okay, so the key collections in My China Roots will be the overseas Chinese records. So that's, so we are obviously outside of China. So this collection focuses on communities outside of mainland China, in North America, Southeast Asia, and the Caribbean. It includes Zupus, which are those clan genealogy books, immigration and travel records, records from the Chinese Exclusion Act, Chinese association materials, and burial and cemetery records. So my paternal great-grandfather is of Chinese descent, and that was something that we kind of learned by going through these databases. There's not a lot of information, but of course that made me very curious. So here's just a little fact about Chinese immigration from the National Archives. Chinese immigration, particularly from the Canton area of China, occurred in the mid-19th century during the California Gold Rush in 1849. Their labor was used for the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad between 1863 and 1869. Growing anti-Chinese sentiment ultimately led to the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882, which prohibited immigration of Chinese laborers for 10 years, but the discriminatory law wasn't fully repealed until 1943, so that's 60 years. So that's an example of just when you're going down the rabbit hole, you kind of want to learn a little bit more about what was going on during the time. And so, so that's one of the fascinating things that you'll discover in genealogy and family history. And when you do, be sure to share that out when you gather with your friends and family, because that's what kind of, so it's infectious, right? People just get interested, they're immediately interested because it's personal to you, and they may end up helping you in unexpected ways. So the other part of My China Roots will be the mainland Chinese collection. So these will be the records from mainland China, including those Zupus and census records. So here's an example of what those Zupus is, and I didn't really know what this is. It's just kind of like a family tree of sorts. They're contained sometimes in books, sometimes they're handwritten. So very interesting to see. I received a question last time about Native American online resources, and at the time wasn't very educated, and so I wanted to dig a little deeper on that. So for the Native American online resources, there's a lot available. So first, you can go to the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA. Here's you'll get the vital records, so a lot of information contained at that site. Locally, there's the California State Archives. There you'll find probate, marriage, death, birth, naturalization records, also very useful in tracking down ancestors. California Native American Heritage Commission. So this is a resource that provides training resources, so this is a good place to go to if you want to collaborate. Bureau of Indian Affairs. So if your ancestor's estate was probated through the Bureau, or if their name appears on a tribe's base membership roll or a judgment distribution roll. So this is, again, really kind of digging into historical records, seeing what's out there. So this is tracked by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Locally, there's a lot of places you can actually go. So one is the American Indian Child Resource Center, which is in Oakland. A lot of these resources are in the East Bay. So this is a nonprofit organization dedicated to serving American Indian children and families in the Bay Area. Intertribal Friendship House, also in Oakland. So this is one of the oldest urban centers in the nation for connecting the Native community and accessing and sharing knowledge. The Native American Health Center, also in Oakland. And so this offers local resources and support. Bay Area American Indian Two Spirits. So this one is in San Francisco. So this one focuses on restoring, recovering the role of two-spirit people within the Native American community. The Bancroft Library, so some of you may have been there. This is on the campus of UC Berkeley, so extensive collections and organizational records, including ones from the Indian Defense Association and the American Indian Community Center. So a lot of great Native American local resources to peruse. And as we're winding down, there's even more genealogy databases out there. And so on the genealogy side, we've covered the ones that the library subscribed to, so I'll just list them there. But we also have maps, historical maps. So we have fire insurance maps online, FIMO. So this is really great. So this will show property maps, historical property maps, the way city streets looked many, many years ago. We also have Sanborn maps provided by ProQuest. It's focusing on the California property maps. These are used every single day. So we get requests at our History Center all the time for, from patrons to people from different organizations looking to build on their research. So very popular. And I mentioned the historical newspapers. We have many, 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 many collections. Can't emphasize that more. California historical newspapers from Newsbank. So these are all those little newspapers, those little regional newspapers throughout the state. Another one that focuses on those regional newspapers is historical newspapers from ProQuest. We subscribe to the Los Angeles Times Historical Index, or the collection, New York Times Historical, San Francisco Chronicle, and the Examiner. So as you can see, all the local ones plus the national ones as well. Questions every single day about retrieving articles and death notices, those kind of things. We have a presentation later today. I think it's today, maybe tomorrow, I'm not sure, I'm sorry. But we do have an upcoming presentation on our historical newspaper collection. So my colleague Kelsey will be presenting on that. Please tune in if you're available. And then you can find even more by going back to our website, sfpl.org/databases. That'll take you to everything. We subscribe to over 200 different databases. And if you dig in even deeper, there are databases within databases, and so those number in the thousands. So a lot of different resources. So for non-SFPL databases, you can try familyshare.org. So this is maintained by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. There's going to be a lot of people who worshiped and a lot of Catholic families. Those records will be contained in this database. There's a lot of information of people of Hispanic and Latino descent, so familyshare.org is really nice. The US Gen Web Project, which was established in the 90s by a group of genealogists who shared a desire to create free online resources for genealogical research. So that's a very collaborative, kind of open access resource that's out there. Findagrave.com, obviously you know what that is, and I'm sure some of you have visited. Also millions of cemetery records, a lot of obscure ones too, people that, maybe, there's some obscure celebrities even contained in those Find a Grave records, so check that out. Digital Public Library of America, so millions of images, text, videos, sounds across the United States. So as you can see, a lot of different online resources. Internet Archive, which is based in the Bay Area here. Library of millions of free texts, movies, software, music, websites. They have something called a Wayback Machine, which lets you research old websites that are no longer published, so they've kept a record of that, and you can see some of those old websites, and that can come in very handy because those websites might have those details of your ancestors somewhere in there for whatever reason. So I've gone in there, found websites from the 90s, very interesting. Websites look very different back then. Around the Bay Area, there's a lot of resources that you can access. So these are based in the Bay Area. So Bay Area Genealogy Calendar. This will have a list of all the meetings and workshops that are going on in the local area. Found SF, which is a digital history archive based on the same software used to make Wikipedia, which is the online encyclopedia. And SF Genealogy. So this is genealogical information from all over the Bay Area, San Francisco, San Mateo, Santa Cruz, Marin, and Alameda counties. So a lot of local online resources as well. And then finally, moving to the main library, we have a dedicated collections to family research, genealogy resources. So first and foremost, start at the 3rd floor where you'll find the General Collections and Humanities Center, genealogy collection. We have Brian here. He's the manager of the 3rd floor. You can talk to him, really nice guy. He will help you with genealogical research. Moving up, there's the Magazines and Newspaper Center. There you'll find the vast collection of our physical collections, everything from the Chronicle to very, very obscure regional newspapers, whether in physical, like print or microfiche or microform. Our staff up there can help you track down what you need. And then finally, the 6th floor for very specialized San Francisco information. You want to go to the History Center to do that research. They will have rare books, rare documents. Our staff up there is amazing. They will assist you with your local research assistance needs. And then we also have a virtual genealogy group that meets on the 2nd Wednesday from 1 to 3. The next one should be August 13th. So this is on Zoom. There's a link if you go to our events page, and you can register and join and talk with other genealogists, other enthusiasts doing family research. And then even more if you go to sfpl.org/genealogy. So before you leave today, there is a flyer that we have that lists all these resources. All right, so and then we can make this slide deck available to you as well. And there are specific books on San Francisco genealogy research. So here are some of them. Raking the Ashes. So this is strategies for doing pre-1906 research. So this is an in-library use book, so you cannot take it out, but you can use it while in the library. There's one called Who Perished? A list of persons who died as a result of the great earthquake and fire in San Francisco. And so this one, I believe, can be checked out. And then the last one is a useful guide to researching San Francisco Ancestry, and this is an in-library use book. So those books are available on the 3rd floor. You can request them. And another list. So here is San Francisco Bay Area Resources. There's the African American Genealogical Society of Northern California in Oakland, California Genealogy Society and Library, also in Oakland, Chinese Historical Society of America here in San Francisco on Clay Street, National Archives of San Francisco in San Bruno, Oakland Family Search Library in Oakland, San Francisco, African American Historical and Cultural Society. So as you can see, a lot of different resources. These will all be on the flyer. But you don't necessarily have to go to all of them, of course, but they are available to you if you, depending on your specific needs. All right. We have a great presentation on Sutro Library, I believe, tomorrow. I think that's the starting lecture, so if you're here tomorrow, check that out. There was a question last year about genealogy software. I don't personally use any genealogy software, but I'm sure maybe other genealogists, researchers use the software. But the ones that I've heard of, Family Tree Maker, popular for building and organizing family trees. There's Roots Magic, and Family Historian. So All these are available and they vary in price, so from $30 to $100, and usually the more expensive, the more feature-rich they are. Some of them offer free trial periods, so you can access them for like 7 days or 30 days, something like that. I would only say, as a librarian, to use these at your own risk and always review the privacy policy. Okay, you can always find that at the very bottom of the page. Find out who they are. Are they based in the US or another country? What is their policy on sharing data and personal information? That's obviously of very grave concern these days. So just if you're going to use any of these third-party resources, go through that process, make it a part of your verification skills. That's what we do whenever we purchase any new products. We want to make sure that everything is jiving with how we do business here in the city, okay? Final tips. Okay, these are very general, but first, explore tools and resources. So whenever you're on any of these platforms, just see what's there, right? Just kind of click on things and see what they do. It doesn't matter if you don't know what they do. That's how you learn, right? You just kind of click on things to see what they do. Right. Stay organized with a system that works for you. Throughout the day, you'll hear people talking about how they stay organized and what system they use. But find what works for you and not necessarily what someone else necessarily does, because obviously we all learn differently. Share information and tips with your friends, families, and neighbors. So in our own family, when we gather for special occasions, we always make time to share that information and ask questions, even if it's a little awkward. I have a lot of older relatives, and sometimes they don't always want to share everything. But if you kind of weave it into the conversation, sometimes they're open to sharing a story about themselves, and that's what we found. And that's been very useful. And when that happens, I always write it down so I don't forget. So sharing is such a big part of genealogy. Family research is a marathon, not a sprint, very general, but that just means, take your time with it. It's going to be a long road, and sometimes you may never find the answers to those questions that you have. Through my own family research, we learned a lot of very enlightening things about our family that, and one that I'll share with you, and it's very personal, but I feel like it's very interesting because it's very unique and uncharacteristic for the times, and our own family was shocked when we learned this, but my paternal grandfather was incarcerated in San Quentin prison. And we don't know the details, but we know it had something to do with business, okay, and some business dealings that, some falling out there. And so that incarceration really affected the family. And it really explained a lot of things because we do have some estrangement in our family that we never knew why, right? We just never knew, right? And through those records, we kind of deduced what probably happened, that it probably separated the family, reasons why the names of our surnames were different, things like that. So that's what we found through using a database like Ancestry. We found the deportation record. My paternal grandfather was deported and then never heard from again. So that was very enlightening, and only through our family sleuths were we able to figure that out. So I would encourage you all to embark on your own mysteries, family mysteries, and you never know what you might find. Thank you. I think I'm a little bit over, but if anyone has any questions, feel free. But otherwise, yep, one question.
So do you have Chinese newspapers?
Yes, I think we do. I think they're mostly in physical format, although I don't. Yeah, you're going to have to check with the magazines and newspaper center for the historical ones. I know we do have the local ones, which may not be so useful for the family history research, but the local ones we do, I believe, keep for up to a year. But check with the magazines and newspaper center for the back archives. Yeah.
Okay, one more question.
Yeah.
freedmen bank records? What are
Right. So what are they? Oh, so these are the records that were generated after the enslaved people were freed. And so they created their own banks. And so these are the places where those records were kept for the enslaved people. So it's very useful. Obviously, there's a lot of personal information there about like residential address, just, occupation, that kind of information. So very, very important records.
Okay, thank you so much, Daniel.
Okay.
We're
You can
running out
talk
of
to me
short time,
afterwards. Okay.
but let's
Thank you,
put our
everyone.
hands together for Daniel.